Before dawn, a 150-meter longline vessel leaves harbor, chasing giant white shadows along a remote continental shelf.
In the wheelhouse, forecasts, quotas, and old scars converge into one goal: hooking a single, truly giant white shark.
Charts highlight a narrow temperature break along a seamount flank, a place where big predators pin migrating prey.
On deck, heavy leaders and oversized circle hooks appear, gear built for mouths large enough to bite through steel.
Frozen tuna heads and oily cuts begin to thaw, each one a promise of easy calories in dark, moving water.
Harnesses, safety lines, and foul weather gear are checked, as if the crew expects the night to hit back hard.
At the stern, the longline drum waits, kilometers of mainline ready to comb the edge between deep and shallow.
Outside, the ocean darkens into a featureless plain, hiding currents, fronts, and everything they hope to meet.
A tight window appears between storms. If they miss it, another season's biggest shark stays only as rumor.
When the captain finally calls, baits and hooks flow aft, the first physical step toward an unseen giant's world. Beneath the hull, the first hooks sink away from light, drifting toward the seamount's shadowed shoulder.
The line arcs along the slope, hooks spaced where rising rock, falling current, and migrating baitfish intersect. Small fish arrive first, testing flesh, stripping scales, turning every bait into a brighter, scent-rich signal.
Above, dawn smears a gray band across the horizon, hiding the boundary between sky, sea, and what hunts below. Somewhere below, a single, enormous shark shares this water, unknown to the crew but central to their entire campaign.
In the galley, coffee and stories circle the table, near misses, cut lines, and one fish nobody quite agrees on.
Outside, buoys drift along a temperature line, tiny markers above a curtain of scent spreading through depth.
Below them, plumes of oil, flesh, and dissolved scent slide downslope, curling toward the seamount's darker face. From the gloom, a massive white form appears, cruising just outside the curtain of hooks like a patrolling submarine.
It stays slightly high, reading currents, scent, and pressure changes long before committing to any single bait. Smaller fish dart in, carving scraps from baits, while the shark simply watches, saving effort for something bigger.
It tests the field with slow passes, mapping wires, hooks, and rock like a diver planning a complicated wreck penetration.
On one pass, its head fills the frame, eye level, with a tuna head hanging at perfect bite height.
Then it drifts higher again, circling wider, as if waiting for the line, current, and hunger to align perfectly.
At the surface, a few boos twitch out of rhythm, a small hint that something heavy is moving down the line.
Below, the shark finally drops lower, lining its body parallel to the hooks, like a train matching a rail.
One bait hangs closer to the rock, half-shadowed, exactly where an ambush hunter expects prey to slip by.
The shark turns once more, then surges, jaws flaring wide enough to erase hook, bait, and water in one inhale.
For a heartbeat, steel and flesh share the same space, the circle hook rolling toward the corner of its jaw.
At the surface, one buoy jerks sideways, then dives, dragging a wake too sharp to belong to waves alone.
Below, the hook finds home, locking into the jaw corner as the shark clamps down and bolts for deeper water.
In seconds, the comm patrol explodes into a full-body sprint, the shark towing hooks, line, and gravity behind it.
Up top, several buoys pull into a crooked line, racing against the swell as if dragged by an invisible locomotive. Tension gauges leap from idle to warning, snapping tired men from routine into the sharp focus of a real fight.
In the wheelhouse, throttle and rudder adjustments try to soften shock loads without gifting the shark too much freedom.
Far below, the hook giant twists hard, trying to turn line angle and rock into tools for its own escape.
Each surge carves silt from the slope, wrapping the shark in its own storm of sand, bubbles, and strained cable.
It tries to roll the line across its body, but the hook's geometry keeps all force centered where steel met jaw.
For long minutes, the battle stays invisible to the crew, existing only as tension, angles, and disappearing slack. Gradually, the angle shifts, nose lifting as line pressure and fatigue begin to drag the shark toward shallower water.
Each spiral upward shortens, trading desperate speed for heavy, grinding circles around the tightening line.
Nearer the surface, light strengthens, turning every lunge into a visible shudder that climbs cable toward the hull.
The shark makes one more dive for the rock wall, but angle and drag now turn the seamount into its enemy. Its movements shorten into heavy sweeps, each one buying only a little slack before the line tightens again. Finally, it levels out under the surface layer, caught in that thin band where air, water, and steel converge.
Up top, the crew clips the main line into the hauler, turning ship and men into a single winch against one fish. The vessel eases ahead, balancing pull and drift so the shark cannot rest, but the cable does not snap.
Then, without warning, the shark erupts, launching clear of the sea in a single, impossible burst of power.
For a heartbeat, the deck disappears in spray and shouting. Then training drags the chaos back into order.
At the surface, its dorsal fin scythes through whitecaps, tracing a jagged line that mirrors tension meters below.
Hauler speed drops, trading rapid progress for control as the shark turns every burst into a surface explosion.
The next run ends in another breach, even higher, as if the shark is trying to throw gravity itself off its back.
Foam tracks on the surface reveal broad circles astern, the fish burning energy into widening rings of whitewater. The vessel's wake bends, hull bulled a few degrees off course by one animal anchored deep beneath the stern.
When it dives again, runs shorten, tailbeats growing heavier, as if each stroke costs more than the last. Another frantic burst ends in midair, the shark twisting sideways, jaws snapping at nothing but spray and sky.
Each landing sends tremors through steel and cable, felt on deck as a shiver under boots and railings.
Slowly, those tremors shrink, replaced by steadier pulls and shorter surface boils along the tensioned line. The hauler inches in line, accepting slower progress in exchange for keeping everything just below breaking point.
When it explodes upward again, the leap is lower, slower, but still terrifying in its sheer, concentrated mass. Hauler rhythm shifts to short bursts, each surge peeling a little more line back from the depths.
Near the surface, the line now points almost straight down, a vertical question mark anchored in muscle.
Oils tighten behind the stern, marking circles that shrink as the shark burns through its last clean sprint. When it bursts out again, height has fallen, but mass and intent still hammer the air into white confusion.
After landing, it stays higher, back and dorsal fin shearing the surface instead of disappearing into depth.
From above, the outline is finally clear, a white-backed torpedo carving ovals into steel-gray water.
Each slow circle lets the crew read body size properly for the first time, and it is far beyond ordinary big.
With angle, tension, and fatigue finally aligned, the captain calls for lifting straps. A different kind of calculation begins.
Long poles push the shark gently sideways, easing it into position where steel and webbing can safely meet.
One last burst thins it half out of the water, a final protest before surrendering to angled steel and gravity.
As motion smooths into heavy glides, a strap finally slips under its chest, catching weight instead of speed.
A second strap follows near the tail, turning a free swimmer into a suspended load, waiting for vertical travel. When straps meet crane hook, the shark becomes cargo, a irreplaceable unit of weight and value. The captain balances crane and hauler, easing strain from the hook, so the line becomes guidance, not leash.
Slowly, the shark rolls onto its side, mass cradled by webbing, as water drains from gills and gaps in its teeth.
For the first time, its full length clears the surface, hanging between sea and steel like a suspended question.
Deck space has already been cleared. Every crate, hose, and tool moved to make room for this one animal.
When it finally lands, boots and steel tremble together. The shark suddenly feels even bigger out of water.
A close look shows the hook exactly where it should be, rolled neatly into the jaw corner, not punched through skin.
Steel comes free with slow, practiced movements, each twist reversing the path that set it minutes before. Stepping back, they see the whole animal stretched from hatch to rail, longer than some boats they once worked.
The tape stretches from nose to tail, numbers climbing past normal benchmarks into the territory of stories and records.
Fin bases and girth are measured too, translating mass, bone, and cartilage into columns of ink.
For a moment, everyone pauses for a photograph. Men, vessel, and shark framed in one improbable rectangle.
Business resumes quickly, straps are rechecked, this time arranged for moving weight inside steel instead of alongside it. A digital scale is rigged in line, turning lifting gear into both crane and witness.
As the crane lifts, numbers climb, freezing a lifetime of growth into one hard, briefly glowing value. Weight recorded, the crane swings gently, bringing the shark toward the open hatch and the colder world below.
Water hoses chase stray slime from non-slip mats. The worksite reset, even as this catch leaves their world of air.
One last look from above the hatch shows the shark settling into its cradle, already half claimed by cold air.
Ice slurry and chilled air combine, turning skin slick and stiff, buying time for careful, methodical processing later.
Later, back on deck, they gather for a quieter photograph. Faces tired, deck washed, horizon empty again.
In the processing bay, stainless tables wait under bright light. The next stage happens in steel, not spray.
Sections of meat arrive whole, thick cylinders of pale muscle that look more like dense game than seafood.
Knives move in practiced arcs, portioning each piece along grain and thickness thresholds set long before this voyage.
Trim and bone are separated, sorted into bins for different markets. Nothing wasted without a reason.
Vacuum bags and liners arrive, thin layers of plastic that will hold value, freshness, and accountability. Seals snap shut, turning exposed flesh into anonymous blocks marked only by weight, date, and grid position. Boxes fill one by one, simple cardboard carrying a chain of signatures from ocean to eventual table.
In the hold, cartons stack into tidy walls, each layer logged, mapped, and crossed off on a clipboard manifest.
When the hatch closes, the shark exists only as cargo, serial numbers, total weight, and a story the crew will retell.
Days later, harbor cranes reappear on the horizon, turning a distant line of light into a concrete, waiting market.
At the dock, lines go ashore, trading open water motion for the rigid geometry of concrete and pilings. Pallets roll down ramps, shifting weight from ship's deck to dock concrete. From voyage ledger to warehouse inventory. In the warehouse, pallets slot into chilled aisles already filled with other voyages, other campaigns, other stories. Container doors stand open, cold air pouring out as cartons transfer into steel boxes bound for distant ports. Seals go on again, this time not for vacuum bags, but for container doors that will not open for weeks.
Trucks pull away from the dock, reefers humming, carrying frozen blocks of weight and risk toward customs gates.
At cold chain checkpoints, thermometers and paperwork matter more than wave height or hook angle ever did. Somewhere in the chain, one container peels away, bound not for mass markets, but for a handful of high-end kitchens.
City streets replace dock roads, headlights reflecting off insulated doors instead of wet steel and running scuppers.
In a quiet side street, a back alley service door opens. swallowing the truck's cold cargo into a hidden stairwell.
In the restaurant's basement, cold rooms mirror those at sea. Same boxes, different address, new kind of risk.
Upstairs, linen-covered tables wait under soft light, surfaces set for stories their diners will never fully know.
In the open kitchen, pans heat and stocks simmer, but cutting boards stay empty a moment longer.
Orders begin to print, small slips of paper carrying words like special and limited instead of species names.
At the pass, plates leave under silver covers, destinations marked only by table numbers and quiet nods.
Far from linen and glass, the sea lies dark again. Longline gear stowed, horizon empty, shelf waiting for another season.